It's the level of expectation. Lewandowski, I expect to have a good year. Mason Greenwood, I've never heard of him.
Sancho should win the Ballon d'Or.
I honestly think Man United fans are listening going, what the fuck are you talking about?
Hello and welcome to the Midtable Up Podcast. On this episode, we're going to be discussing the best footballers of 2020. Please do comment down below. Let us know the 10 footballers you think had the best 2020. Whilst you're there, you might as well put your foot through the like button and subscribe, as well as follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, along with Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. My first co-host joining us today is a man whose only positive note of 2020 is that most of his disposable income did not end up on pints. It's Matthew Lee. You alright, Matt?
Yeah, I would like to say, just go on record, that I'm incredibly disappointed that I couldn't quite literally piss away my financial income.
Yeah, aren't we all, eh? There's nothing but that we would have liked better than to have been at the pub having a few beers. But, you know, at least you do have some disposable income now, rather than drinking it all away, I suppose. Every cloud, that kind of thing.
Well, I mean, he's still drinking it away, but he's just not doing it in a pub. Yeah. That's the only difference. He's doing it privately, not publicly.
It's much more cash efficient, actually, if you think about it. But, you know, it's what it is.
Yeah, sounds like it, mate. Right, our second co-host chatting with us today also only has one positive to take from 2020, which is that he moved away from Grays, Essex. It's our resident tractor boy, Simon Bartlett. You okay, Simon?
Yeah, I'm great. I just love the fact you've just pissed off the whole of Grays. So that's a good start to the podcast.
It doesn't take a lot, does it, to be fair?
No, it doesn't, and to be fair, you are right. I mean, it's... I'm not going to argue.
Considering where this podcast is going to get released by our circle of people, you know, Grays, the residents of Grays.
The residents are nice, but the place is not.
Yeah.
But the thing is, this podcast was initially thought up in the San Martin in Grays, so
that is ironic.
Diss on it all you want, but
after I did embarrass us in the pub by going, all I can buy is a house in Grays, and then everyone looked at me like I was speaking down to Grays. So no, Grays. That's
not the first time you put your foot in it. To be fair, in the pub,
many a times. George, do you want to introduce yourself?
With a much nicer thing.
Yeah. Do you want to do the nice one?
You see, the thing is, right, so before I get into this intro, I was thinking about what you guys said last week, and I've come to the conclusion, because I've not purposefully tried to make you guys look worse than me, because I'll admit that I'm a twat, but I've kind of come to the conclusion that mugging you guys off comes naturally to me. Like, trying to insult myself. Like, even today, for this intro, it took me like 15 minutes to think of one for myself, but you guys, it took me like a minute to come up with. So yeah, I actually have to use my brain to try and mug myself off, because I'm not naturally inclined to do that. But yes, finally, I am George Ellis, a man whose only positive of 2020 is that I had a valid excuse not to go to the gym for most of this year.
I'll be honest, that was a good one. I enjoyed that one.
Well done, George. Self-deprecation. We're very proud of you.
Right, okay, so how did we find making the lists this week then, guys? Okay, I take it, we all quite confident with who we think was the best of 2020? I mean, it's been a shit year for, you know, pretty much everything, but football-wise, we all good with our list?
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting list to make, because the year 2020 was very confusing, because there was a massive gap between seasons. All the kind of seasons merged into one. So, yeah, it was definitely a strange list to make overall. What did you think, Simon?
I'll tell you the issue that I had with it was the fact that my football brain works season to season rather than calendar year. So when I'm thinking 2020, I'm going, well, he had a good season that year to that year, but this year's not been as good. And it's hard. My brain instinctively doesn't think of players who've had good 2020s, because that's just not, like, football doesn't run like that. As you say, like, there's a break in the middle, there's a whole season in between, like, squads change, which means your performances might change if you don't quite click with the new teammates. So that was one thing that I found difficult. I'm relatively happy with the list, but I think my order, I'm not quite sure if my order's right, but it's kind of how I felt on the day. It could change if I did it again next week, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I 100% get where you're coming from with that. Yeah, I kind of agree. Obviously, as well, it's been such a weird year that they've cancelled the Ballon d'Or for this year as well, haven't they? So, I mean, obviously, we wouldn't know what the results of the Ballon d'Or were until January anyway. But obviously, we're recording this like mid-December right now.
This is what they get instead. This is the coveted. They said the Ballon d'Or we could give a week. You could give a year to. But, you know, the Midtable Podcast, that is the award.
I think we've got to come up with a name for our, instead of the Ballon d'Or.
Yeah.
The shit on door, something.
The bastard door.
Bastard door.
Let us know, let us know your suggestions for what our award should be.
And we'll run it again next year.
Yeah, exactly. It will become official. It will be, honestly, you know how, like, Messi won 4 Ballon d'Ors in a row? Like, he won't want to be winning those anymore. He'll be wanting to win this award 4 years in a row. So, yeah.
What's a Ballon d'Or, mate?
Exactly.
Irrelevant.
Boring, old, yesterday's news.
Love it. Right then, so Matt, do you want to kick us off with your number 10? Who is bang on mid-table then, mate?
So I reckon none of you have got this guy.
Right.
So it's João Felix from Atletico Madrid.
That's a great shout. Go on, elaborate, mate.
Well, really, I just put him in there because I think I don't hear him in the conversation much. He's not high up on my list, and to be fair, he just about to make number 10. But no, overall, I think he's had a positive first season at Atletico Madrid. The transfer, I can't even exactly remember whether he transferred this window or the window before.
I think it's last summer.
This summer gone or the summer before?
Summer
it was the summer before, wasn't it? Yeah. Overall, he's had a quite positive season. He looks like a really good youngster.
Yeah, I like João Felix. He didn't have a great start, did he, the first few games? But he looks like he's finally starting to pick up. I mean, it was big shoes he had to fill. I mean, you think he came in to replace Antoine Griezmann. Like, that's why they signed him, to be that guy, to replace him. Obviously, playing for Simeone, again, as an attacking player, sometimes can be quite limiting. But this year, he looks like he's found something extra. Game looks to have improved. And look, he's a very talented young player, and he's only, 19, 20, something like that. I mean, it's ridiculous. So you look forward to how his career is going to develop.
Yeah, he certainly looks like he's got a lot of potential. So yeah, I mean, he's not on my list, but I do think that's certainly an interesting shout for sure. So who's your number 10 then, Simon?
So my number 10 is also a relatively young player, won the Champions League last season. Bayern Munich's left back, Alphonso Davies.
Snap. He's my number 10 as well. He is my number 10 as well.
I'm just going to open up. He's my number 6.
There we go.
Oh, there we go.
So,
great stuff.
Is this the first time we've all had
a 3? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is.
Apart from Premier League moments where we all had the same top 2.
Yeah.
I think this is the first one where it's like not a given that you would have picked him.
Oh, definitely.
But the reason I went for him, I mean, he's had a fantastic year. He sort of came out of nowhere, didn't he, last season, and took the Champions League by storm. I mean, he was amazing in that game against Chelsea where he scored a goal. I think he set up another one. He's so fast. I mean, and his story's incredible as well, isn't he? He's a refugee in Canada, got picked up by Bayern, and they signed him for the future. He wasn't meant to start games. He ousted the left back who was there. I think it was it Luca Hernandez? He's like a very, very prominent left back in world football. And now, like, no one even talks about him now because Alphonso Davies is undisputed first choice at Bayern, and he's just had an incredible year. I mean, the meteoric rise he's had, it's very unprecedented.
Yeah, and the other thing, he was also part of that outstanding performance against Barcelona. Yeah, he's just come from strength to strength, and from a player that I think we can all be honest, we didn't know a huge amount about him.
At the start of the year, not a lot really, but I
heard the name.
Yeah, that's the thing. I kind of heard the name before. I love when Thomas Müller described him as the Roadrunner, because I think that's a very apt description of the way he plays football. It's just like he's up and down, like box to box, energy, pace. He just doesn't seem... He's got it all, and he's got a final product as well, which is great to see from a young kid. I mean, he must only be about 20 as well. I mean, it's incredible.
100%, yeah. I think he turned 20 last month, which is really scary. And one of the reasons why I put him at my number 10 was because, to be honest with you, I can't remember really seeing a player that young in pretty much any position that almost already looks like they're the complete package, but he does. And you kind of think that if this is how good he is now at 19, 20 years old, how good is he going to be when he's 26, 27, he's playing for Bayern Munich. They're not going to need a fullback for over 10 years at this point.
Yeah.
And as you said, the runs, the power, the crossing ability, he absolutely ruined Barcelona. I know Barcelona were terrible all over the pitch, but he absolutely had a field day in that game, and he's won the treble already. He's 20 years old and he's already won the treble. I think he's had a fantastic year, as you said, kind of came from nowhere. Incredible story, being a refugee, and just explode, effectively into form. No, he looks absolutely incredible. Already he's got some real trophies under his belt, and I really only see his career going from strength to strength, but already he looks like the complete fullback. So I think very valid entries there, guys. Number 10 for me and Simon. A Europa League spot from Matt. That's a really big shout. So who's number 9 for you then, Matt? Who's taking your number 9 spot?
My number 9 spot is a player that I despise as a person, but I've only got respect for what he did in the Champions League this year. He certainly proved me wrong, because I've been talking smack about him for a while now. It's Neymar Jr.
Oh, as soon as you said you despise him, I thought it would be Neymar.
He's an outstanding player. I think he's in the conversation for lots of off-pitch conversations around.
He loves his sister.
Yeah, I was going to say, how long was that going to take to come up?
All of that shit. But overall, I think I'm not entirely convinced that PSG would have got to the final. Or maybe they would have, but not as comfortable without Neymar. I think he was outstanding, especially in some of those earlier games in the Champions League this year. Yeah, he played people on off the pitch, and he showed really what Neymar can do.
But to be fair, that Bayern Munich team were outrageous. Yeah. And Neymar, he's one of those players, you can't doubt his quality at all. He's definitely up there. And I mean, he's not on my list really, and I did think about him, but I don't know. I mean, obviously, as I go through my list, I'll be able to justify those that I did pick. But his quality can't be doubted. I just, had they won the Champions League, he probably would have made my list. I will say that, which is maybe a little bit harsh because it is.
But that's sort of how the Ballon d'Or works, isn't it, though? I mean, the player who wins the Ballon d'Or is almost always a player that's won the Champions League. That just tends to be how it goes.
Yeah.
But Neymar is a wonderful footballer. I mean, he started off as a young kid at Barcelona, and he was this show pony, bit tricky, bit flash, doesn't really work hard enough. I think he's added that to his game. You look at him these days, he definitely works much harder. He looks like he's a bit of a driving force in that PSG team, which he wasn't initially. He's a bit kind of on the fringe of it.
The word I would use is, it looks like he's matured a little bit.
Yeah, that is the word.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he can still sort his hair out, but that's a whole other issue. But he looks now like he's prepared to do the hard graft as well as being ridiculously good, which makes him much better. Yeah. That's what I mean. That's my point.
Yeah. And I think he's had a pretty good 2020. Yeah. He wins the league.
I mean, that's kind of a given at PSG, really. I say that. They're not... Say that, though. I don't think they are top at the minute of League One as the time of recording on the 17th of December, but...
Maybe he's had a shit end to 2020.
Well, he got injured, didn't he? I mean, I think it was a game last week against, I want to say, Lyon. He's hurt his leg, and I think they think he's going to be out for a while, I think, with that one.
Here's a Neymar question for you guys. So, if PSG don't win the Champions League in the time that he's there, has it been a successful stint for him in Paris?
Financially, probably.
Yeah.
Not with the French tax laws, it's not.
Yeah.
I would say no.
Strictly footballing, I would say no. They are the best team in France, by far.
They would win the league without him for certain as well, as good a player as he is.
Yeah, you could take out a couple of...
Yeah.
I think if anything, for the sport of football, it's probably been a shame that he hasn't gone to someone a bit more prominent.
But as you say, if they did win the Champions League, then you'd say it's probably been worth it because he probably would with the Ballon d'Or. And that's why he moved, was to get out of Messi's shadow and win the Ballon d'Or.
Completely.
If PSG win the Champions League, he probably would, but it hasn't happened yet. And I don't see it happening, but I've been wrong before.
No, I know it sounds probably a little bit harsh. I'm just not sure if they have the right mentality for big games, just because in the league, they don't really have crunch games. And then when they do come up against...
I mean, they did make the final, didn't they? I mean, let's give them some credit.
Yeah, I mean...
They beat some good teams to get there.
I'm trying to think on their path now, because they beat Leipzig in the semi-final,
Yeah,
didn't
Leipzig
they?
semis.
I mean, Leipzig are a decent team, but...
They were better last year with Werner and...
Yeah.
Anyway, Neymar.
Neymar, nice one. So, your number 9 then, Simon. Who are you going with?
My number 9 is a teammate of Neymar Jr.'s at PSG. It's Kylian Mbappe.
Snap again. Oh my God.
You need to stop sharing lists before the pod.
Well, I think the thing is, me and George have very similar views on football and have for a long time.
To be fair, I will say this. I will be surprised that my number 8, before I go into it, obviously, my number 8, I will be surprised if either of you two have him on your list at all. So, yeah, I feel like number 8 I'll be safely on my own with. But, yeah, number 9, Kylian Mbappe. Elaborate, please, Simon.
Yeah, I think similarly to what we've just been saying about Neymar, had he played in a side that won the Champions League, we'd probably been talking about him as a much higher contender on this list. You were just talking about Alphonso Davies of being like a complete player at such a young age. I think Kylian Mbappe is probably the one I'd compare to him in that regard of having kind of that end product at such a young...
As a forwards equivalent, certainly.
Yeah. And he's had another fantastic year when he scored bucket loads of goals, which I know you'd expect him to do. It's France.
But he did win the Golden Boot as well. I know Neymar had a bit of a injury, was it last season as well? But he did still win the Golden Boot, which... he's had to outscore Neymar to do that as well.
It's a bit of an internal competition at PSG, isn't it? I mean, there's not many others who are even in the competition, because obviously Icardi was there as well. So, as you say, all very, very good goal scorers. He's got everything, hasn't he? He's pace, he's powerful, he looks like he plays the game, like, it's so easy for him. And actually, I feel like in a way that sometimes he, like Neymar, needs to try and find, like, his level of graft and grit and grinding stuff out a little bit. I think sometimes he can coast a bit in games.
Yeah.
With Mbappe, I think if he really wants to kick on, and he's still so young, right?
You forget that, don't you? I mean, he's like 21, isn't he? So he's 3 years younger than us.
Absolutely. He's still so young, and he showed so much promise, and I think he's got an amazing career ahead of him. Personally, I think if he wants to go on and play with the best and be a part of the best team for a significant period of history, he needs to leave PSG. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you who that is, because I think there are a couple big teams that you could say...
Well, I know there's rumours of Madrid, isn't there? It has been for a while.
There's rumours of Madrid. He could be instrumental there. He could go to like a prime Liverpool at the moment. He could go to lots of clubs.
Well, he makes every team in the world better.
Yeah, absolutely. A million times.
I'm going to pose the same question to you in regards to the Champions League that I did with Neymar, because obviously... The thing in terms of, does Mbappe have to win the Champions League with PSG in order for you to really be able to call his time there a success? Because obviously Neymar's a lot older than Mbappe. Neymar's, really at that peak of his career now. Whereas, as you said, he's really got to go somewhere else and, do it outside of France effectively. So does that rule apply to Mbappe in the way that we established it applied to Neymar?
For me, no, and the reason for that is he came from Monaco. PSG is a step up from Monaco. The move is upwards. It's an upward trajectory of a career. Neymar's move from Barcelona to PSG is at best sideways, but probably backwards. Yeah. So he needs to progress them forwards, like for that to be a move that is good. Neymar from here he will go to if he goes to Madrid, if he goes to a Liverpool, that's another upward step. And that's just a stepping stone of a career rather than a player in his prime taking a move that's not necessarily the best.
From a career perspective, Neymar, as you said, personally I think it was a step backwards.
I agree. For
Mbappe, at such a young age, he's consistently won the league title. I know we go on about that, but he's been consistently an instrumental part of that. He helped take them to a Champions League final. And lastly, he's a World Cup winner. And it's not like he sat on the bench for that World Cup. He was instrumental in them winning a World Cup. So it's he's done so much at a young age, but like we said, he needs to move on if he wants to be serious.
Certainly, and I do feel like, at least in the long term, having that, I know it's maybe a little bit harsh, but having that World Cup medal, it does elevate your status so much more so that you almost go, all right, if he doesn't win a Champions League at PSG, he's still younger than Neymar. He might still win it at another club if he does make a move. Whereas Neymar obviously did win the Champions League at Barcelona, but you kind of think, oh, come on, you've not... I know they won an Olympic gold medal, and they did, to be fair, win the Copa America, didn't they, Brazil, recently? But again, that World Cup, it's just... It is the be-all, end-all, isn't it, really, in terms of international football, the World Cup. And, yeah, I feel like that World Cup kind of... It almost gives you an extra pass if you haven't, maybe won a Champions League you have got the World Cup to fall back on, which obviously Neymar doesn't have. But no, I think that's that's our solid choices for number 9 there, Simon, spot on. So your number 8 then, Matt. Who are you going with at number 8?
My number 8 is Robert Lewandowski.
Only number 8?
Only number 8.
I am surprised. I am really surprised.
There's lots of players. The thing with Robert Lewandowski, and it's the same reason why some other players aren't on here, is because this list was very focused on the performance in 2020. There are players that, he had an amazing 2020.
I was going to say, mate, I think his 2020's up there, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. But the problem is my bar for him is set so high. A lot of what I expect from him is already so up there that him overachieving, which he did this year, and he's done really, really well, it's kind of just what I expected of him anyway.
I think the reason why I've rated him is my bar for him is set extremely high, yet he still is consistently exceeding my expectations, which is incredible. Like, he's so consistent, he scores goals all over the place, his hold-up play is good, he's strong on the ball, good in the air. I mean, Bayern are a great side. They'll be a great side without Lewandowski, but Lewandowski is the focal point. He's the one who gets the team over the line in games that they maybe don't necessarily deserve to win. He's just got that ability. He picks up a goal or two. And that's, and we talk about France being potentially a slightly easier league. Germany has some pretty weak teams in there. I mean, I know Leipzig are good. I know Dortmund are good. But when Bayern don't play well, you can almost bank on Lewandowski getting at least one.
Yeah. That
tends to be enough for Bayern. That will get them through a lot of games. He's a fantastic footballer, and for me, he's the best centre forward in the world. I don't know if I want to give away where he's on my list. He's there.
Yeah, I would say because mine. I'm not going to say the exact number, but Lewandowski is quite a bit higher than number 8 for me. So I feel like I want to elaborate on why he's higher when we get to that number. Yeah. So I'd say, Simon, you do the same thing as well. Okay, so. All right, fair enough, Matt. Number 8, I will say this, I really do disagree with number 8. I think I feel like you're really not doing Lewandowski justice in the type of year he's had, but we'll revisit this topic when we get to where he is on mine and Simon's lists. 100%. All right, so your number 8 then, Simon.
My number 8 is a player who's maybe not that well known. Certainly in England, I wouldn't have said he's that well known. He's been consistently scoring in Italy, but he's had a fantastic year this year. Ciro Immobile. Yeah, he's got 43 goals in 47 games, consistently playing well for Lazio. So it's not like he's playing for a top Juventus or like the kind of old school Italian giants that you think about when you think of that. And it's not just this year. He's had lots of good years, but this year seems to have really found his groove. He's 30 years old now, so he's had quite a long career. But consistently scoring goals and showing an ability that maybe people didn't know he had.
Yeah.
And I like what I see of him. Again, he's got that knack of just scoring goals, important goals when it counts. And 43 goals in 47 games is a hell of an achievement. I mean, that kind of speaks for itself.
Yeah, no, that is incredible. It's weird. I mean, I'm not going to lie, I didn't really consider him, but then to be honest with you, I didn't really know the extent of his goal scoring exploits this year. That is incredible. And as you said, for Lazio, it's not like he's playing for Juventus either. I think that's an outrageous record.
I mean, I tell you how the reason why I came across the record was because I do a lot of like 442 quizzes online, and they often have like top goal scorers in Europe in like a certain time period. And he's consistently on there. And this year he's like right at the top. I'm like, bloody hell. Like, that is a hell of a record.
Whenever I've seen him in the Champions League and stuff, I've always thought he's a very good player, but as I said, that record, that's kind of outrageous, to be honest with you. And yeah, no, I do think that's kind of a valid shout at number 8, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think I wanted to give somebody who maybe doesn't necessarily always give the limelight and kind of... Yeah. Obviously, he couldn't go much higher than 8 because they've not won anything, and it's kind of... Yeah. But I wanted to give some focus to what has been an incredible year for Ciro Immobile.
No, definitely. I think that's a very interesting shout. Brilliant. All right, then. So moving on to my number 8. Now I'm gonna basically kind of say that out of everyone on my list, and I'd also probably say realistically on your lists as well, he's probably the least talented player on there, which it's probably a very harsh way of describing him because I think he's an excellent footballer and I think he's had a very, very good year. I have gone with Jordan Henderson as my number 8 in midfield for Liverpool. So this year, it was such a crazy year. There was points, obviously, of course, where people were thinking, oh, is the league even going to be cancelled? Is it going to go ahead? Or, that kind of thing. And obviously it did. And then Liverpool did eventually win the league for the first time in 30 years. I don't know, Mane, Salah, Trent Alexander-Arnold, they've got an incredible team full of incredible players that are, again, on a technical aspect of it, that they're better than Jordan Henderson. But I feel like his leadership, I feel like the way he's driven that team, not just this season, but over the last couple of years, consistently, to finally give Liverpool that first title in 30 years, I think it's been, I know obviously that, again, the manager and the team also deserve a lot of credit for that achievement, but I do think it's been a fantastic year from him. I think that you talk about leaders and you talk about how much you maybe miss someone's presence, and obviously at the minute they're really missing Virgil van Dijk, but I do think if Henderson wasn't in the team, I do kind of wonder if the mentality would drop off a little bit, and I feel like he typifies everything that is Jurgen Klopp and everything that is that team.
Who else do you think they need to lose for them to not be title contenders?
Henderson would be a big blow. I think
Is it Henderson? Is that?
I would also say the goalkeeper.
Because I would say Alisson.
I'd say Alisson, the goalkeeper. I'd also probably say, Mane or Salah, one of them two as well. Yeah. But for me, despite the injuries, they still have enough and should be winning the league this year. But yeah, I do think Henderson would be a huge blow to that. And as I said, I wonder whether the mentality would drop off if they did lose him. But I just think he's, been consistently throughout this year, throughout this season as well. I think he's been fantastic for them. And I think he's been a real leader. And, the work that he puts in, I always feel like as well, he maybe doesn't get the credit he deserves as a footballer. Again, he's not as good as, say, Thiago, Salah, Mane, etc. Again, you can reel off all these players, not just at Liverpool, but throughout the Premier League that are better than Henderson from a technical point of view. But I think in terms of getting the most out of your ability, I think that there's very few that have come close to what Henderson has done, and that for me is why he makes my number 8.
I think what Henderson has is that Gerrard-like ability of making everyone around him better than they are when he's not there, and that's a ridiculously good skill to have as a football player.
I completely agree, and that's why I think if they did lose him, that would be such a blow. All right, then moving on to our number 7s then. So number 7, Matt, who are you going with?
My number 7 is a fellow Liverpool player, someone we've just spoke about, Alisson.
Great shout.
I think it's pretty simply put, if he's not in that Liverpool squad, I think they don't win as many games. I think not only does he give the attack, the confidence, and the defence the confidence that they need. Also, he just overall has extraordinary ability. And even in a defence that's looked a bit crap with no Virgil van Dijk, and losing some significant players, he's been able to just step up and make it happen.
I agree. I had some qualms with your previous number, mate, but I think you're 100% justified on this one. I will say that I think he's an incredible goalkeeper, and I think the confidence that he must instill in that back line, even without Virgil van Dijk, I think is huge. I think he would be a very heavy loss if he was to get an injury again. And he can play as well. He's not just an incredible shot stopper. He's not just incredible for the defence. He can play. He can pass the ball. A complete goalkeeper in this day and age, I think, is fantastic. So yeah, I'm going to pose a question to you two. Is he the best goalkeeper in the world right now?
Yes.
Right now, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, good. I'm glad we're all in agreement on that then.
Very easy, that question, wasn't it?
It was. I'm glad we're all in agreement on that. I was just wondering whether maybe someone was going to throw Neuer in there or something like that.
Gano Black is up there and Neuer's up there in that conversation.
I mean, Ederson is still a good, fantastic goalkeeper as well, but he's not on the same level. Alisson's level has been ridiculous. Yeah. I mean, some of the saves he makes are insane. And he was the final piece of that Liverpool jigsaw, wasn't he?
Completely, yeah.
It was. We sign Alisson. We don't have Karius anymore. Right, this team now can win whatever it wants because now we've got a good goalkeeper.
again, I feel so bad because I feel like on my lists particularly, goalkeepers get neglected so badly. But yeah, no, I think a worthy place on this list, Matt. I will give you that.
My number 7 is potentially my most contentious. I think partially it's just that I like his career story a little bit, and he has had a fantastic 2020. Serge Gnabry.
I did consider him. He's not on my list, but I certainly considered him. I do agree, because when you think back to his days at West Brom and Tony Pulis wasn't picking him, you could never have imagined what 2020 would have had in store for him.
No, and that's kind of where I was thinking. And again, it's similar to the Alphonso Davies. It's like, you kind of know Serge Gnabry, he's kind of around, but this year he kind of exploded, and it's like, oh my God, he's really, really good.
Was it in 2020 that he just annihilated Spurs?
It might have been
back end of 2019.
I don't know.
But it was the 2019/20 season, so we'll allow that. Yeah.
Yes. And then he along with Alphonso Davies was good in that Chelsea game as well that I spoke about before. And them up that left side had a real kind of almost telepathic connection of knowing when each other was going, coming back.
Yeah.
And I think partially, again, I was thinking of that partnership when I thought of Alphonso Davies. I think, Gnabry as well. But as you say, you think back, he couldn't get into a West Brom team. I mean, it's ridiculous. No one thought this kid was going anywhere. He went for 5 million from Arsenal to Wolfsburg, and people kind of went, fine, young player goes away, it won't be a massive loss. And then kind of 2-3 years later, he's guiding his side to Champions League success and being a real integral part of that. I think it's fantastic.
Definitely one of the most important players in that team for me. And again, as you mentioned, the partnership between him and Alphonso Davies. Again, the way that they just put Barcelona to the sword. Again, I know that Bayern Munich were outstanding as a team that day, and obviously Barcelona were very, very poor as a team, but that left flank in particular, it was just every time the ball went out there, you just thought they're going to get a goal here, and they pretty much did that every time as well. It was unbelievable. And yeah, the goals he scored against, I'm pretty sure he scored against Chelsea, didn't he?
I'm fairly sure he did, yeah.
Yeah, it just, and the way that, again, he absolutely destroyed Spurs around about the November, December before that as well. It just, the way his career has come on in leaps and bounds, just incredible, really.
And a player that is 2025.
Yeah, and obviously he's sort of only just started getting into the German side as well, so international honours coming his way off the back of this year. So I think again, it was the kind of, that no one saw it, really, and that's kind of why I've thrown him in, because I like players who've kind of come and taken a relatively difficult route through the game, kind of having to deal with disappointment of being sold and people saying you're not quite good enough. Yeah. And being, no, I am, and proving it. It's brilliant.
Yeah, no, the way that he's reacted to adversity, I think, is incredible. And the way that his career has progressed over the last 4 or 5 years or so, it's just outstanding. And as you said, he's just really about to come into the peak of his career now. So we should only really be seeing him get better and better over the next 2-3 years or so. Absolutely brilliant player. Won the treble, fantastic 2020, of course. So, all right, moving on to my number 7 then. I have gone for another Bundesliga player, but not a Bayern Munich player this time, funnily enough. I have gone with Borussia Dortmund's Erling Haaland. Yeah, this kid, he looks unbelievable. In terms of an out-and-out striker, I really can't remember the last time I saw someone this young make this much of an impact and look so deadly in front of goal. We talked about Alphonso Davies and Kylian Mbappe looking almost complete at their young age, and Haaland for me is the same. I can't when I look at him, I can't when I watch him play, I can't believe that I'm watching a 20-year-old. I really can't.
So I'm going to say he's on my list. He's actually second on my list. Again,
wow.
Partially because of that. Again, player who kind of explodes onto the scene, and I like that.
Let's argue about this. He's my first player.
There we go.
He's
right.
been... I can't believe he's so low for you, George.
I mean, again, I feel like I can justify my reasons why, and obviously...
I can understand why he would be lower.
Yeah.
I don't know, he kind of feels like he's on the top of my brain at the minute, because he's so incredible now.
Well, I can't think... There's only a few players I can think of.
Here's the thing, so I don't know, we try not to veer too heavily into stats, but I did do my homework when making this list because I thought there's a lot of players that would be worthy on being on the list. So I thought 44 goals in 40 games in all competitions last season. That is disgusting. That is like peak Messi, Ronaldo type figures. And the kids, and I know it's the Bundesliga.
Well, no, but he must have been at Salzburg for the first part of that as well, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So, I mean...
He just bang goals in.
The best description I heard of Haaland was someone said he's a bit like Ivan Drago in Rocky IV. Like, it looks like he's been built in a lab by Russian spies. Like, they've gone, like, how can we create the perfect footballer? And, like, put him together. Like, he's ridiculous. He's fast, he's strong, finishes off both feet. The United thing is, he could have played for England, technically, because he was born in Leeds.
Oh, no.
And I was like...
Born in Leeds?
He's born in Leeds because his father is Alf-Inge Haaland. I think he played for Leeds in the 90s. So, and Erling was born in Leeds.
Has he started for Norway?
He's already played for Norway, so it's not going to happen now.
Could you imagine?
I was a bit like, when I saw him, I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, he could have played for England. I mean, make better
he is
decisions.
the least English-looking person.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, he's now going to have to play for Norway's whole fucking career and not win anything with them.
I mean, yeah, to be fair, my only like consolation of that is that it is Norway and it's not a Germany,
That's
Spain,
true.
France, that kind of the country. So, yeah. But no, absolutely incredible. Let's be honest. He's got 17 goals in all competitions already this season, which we're not even
And he's had injuries as well,
Christmas yet.
hasn't he?
Yeah, we're not even at Christmas yet as well. Unbelievable. As I said, that the potential with this guy, I feel like every time the Champions League is on and I see a goal notification pop up now, I'm thinking it's going to be Haaland, isn't it? Because, yeah, lethal. You know, obviously, and I know team game, we're sort of doing individual awards here, so I do get why you guys might have had him higher, but I really do feel like if, you know, Dortmund maybe do push for the Bundesliga this year,
Yeah,
I do feel like I feel like if I feel like if Dortmund win the...
They've just sacked their coach, haven't they? Favre has just been sacked.
Yeah.
Oh, was he?
So,
I didn't know
yeah.
that. No, I've not seen that.
I can't see him at Dortmund for long.
No, I think that is true. I heard...
I think that's great, but I think it's a great buy.
Oh, yeah, they're going to sell it for 150 million.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to
How
be
much
that...
did they buy him from?
It's like 25 million, something,
Because
30 million.
the club he was at was in financial trouble, weren't they?
Well, he's at Salzburg, which...
Yeah.
I will say this now. If Dortmund win the Bundesliga, going in, you know, like next year, obviously going into 2021, I feel like, depending on who's been the most important, I feel like either him or Sancho should win the Ballon d'Or if one of them wins the if Dortmund win the Bundesliga, because Germany have just got that. Sorry, not Germany, but Bayern Munich have got the Bundesliga sorted right now, and for any other team to win the Bundesliga, it would be an unbelievable achievement.
So let me ask you a question. He's 20. What should his next career move be? Where would be best for him next? Say he outgrows Dortmund, say they don't win the league. Where should he be looking?
I wanna say Real Madrid. Just because, you know, you talk about Galactico signings and, you know, that they are the most successful football club in world football. You know, Man United fans and probably Liverpool fans and, you know, possibly even Barcelona and even Munich fans might disagree with me, but for me, you don't get bigger than Real Madrid in my mind, and Real Madrid tend to do the biggest signings. You know, at least traditionally. Obviously, I know PSG have got the world record fee, you know, with a Neymar and you know, like even Mbappe. But yeah, for me, I think I would say this. I would be disappointed if he went to PSG. But
City?
I think Madrid should be the place that he should go, because you know, they're still in a bit of a weird place right now, and I feel like he could be, I want to say that, you know, I was going to say the next Ronaldo, but then thought, oh, maybe not. But you're looking at the numbers that he's getting right now.
For Dortmund?
Yeah. I'm thinking, would it be unreasonable to expect him to hit Ronaldo-type numbers at Madrid if he went there?
I think he can be the person in City. Because I think, if anything, City, when Aguero's injured, it's glaringly obvious that they miss that big, possessive, big goal-scoring centre-forward, which Jesus isn't.
If you were Haaland right now, and you had the if you had the choice between Man City or Real Madrid, where are you going?
Today?
Or let's say the summer.
Well, it would be Real Madrid.
Yeah.
The only thing that I think maybe influenced his decision towards the Premier League is obviously his dad played here, and I do think he knows the league better. As you say, Real Madrid is Real Madrid. Like, you don't need to know anything about Real Madrid before signing.
It's probably a team that is more obviously going to have success in the next 2 to 3 years. I know City right now are sitting like 9th or 10th or something like that, but they will pick it up.
Yeah, they go through phases, don't they, Real Madrid?
Yeah, so it's not... I think long term, Real Madrid's probably the best move for him. But if you're looking to win something in the next 2-3 years, I would say City's probably the better bet. Because Real Madrid need new defenders, new fullbacks, new midfielders, and a new attacker. Like it's everywhere across the pitch that they've got problems. City
still won the league last year, though. To be fair,
they did. But that whole team is
anyway. It was just an interesting question because I think he now is at an important juncture of his career. This next move, he either makes himself a superstar, or he maybe doesn't quite hit the levels that are expected of him. So that's why I asked the question.
Yeah, no. I think it was a very good question. I think, just quickly going back to the City Real Madrid, I think that for me at the minute, the real key difference between the two clubs is that Real Madrid will always be expecting to win the Champions League, whereas City at the minute, they're hopeful that they're going to win the Champions League one day. So I think at the minute that's the major difference between the two clubs. Real Madrid expect it. City, having never won it, they're hopeful that one day they'll win it. So again, there would probably be slightly different goals depending on where he went. Obviously, that you want him to win the Champions League at either club, but Real Madrid, it would almost be more of a necessity rather than it would be at City. So yeah, I think there is that to consider. But yeah, strolling on to our Europa League spots then. Number 6, Matt, who are you going for, mate?
My number 6, we've already spoken about him, Alphonso Davies.
Yeah, of course we did. I think we covered Alphonso Davies as much as we'd like to cover Alphonso Davies. So yeah, all right then. Your number 6 then, Simon?
My number 6 is Harry Kane.
Snap! Oh my god! Honestly, we've matched on 3 things. And again, we have to iterate. We don't know each other's lists before recording. I can't believe that's a hat trick.
I feel the amount we do this, people are going to start not believing us.
No, they are.
But we genuinely don't. Like, George is in a completely different county. I haven't spoken to him today.
No, we haven't spoken to each other really since the last episode.
Anyway, right. I'm gonna give you my justification of Harry Kane now.
Yeah, go for it.
For me, his levels have just been ridiculous. Certainly this year, back end of last year as well, but certainly the start of this season, 10 goals. I think he got 9 goals, 10 assists to start this year, and he looks like he's got everything. His passing range is up there. His goal scoring ability hasn't decreased. He looks as fit as he's ever been, and his level is just. I mean, for me, he's the second best, probably centre forward in the world, which probably goes against where I put Haaland in this list. But just the way he controls a game from that centre forward position, because he's almost the forward and the midfielder, and at times the defender as well. You look at him at Spurs defending set pieces at the minute. Like, he does everything. And for me, it's a little bit criminal that Lloris is captain of that Tottenham team, because Harry Kane is the heartbeat of it. Because without him, they're nowhere near. Like, he is the world-class player. Him and Son are the world-class players taking that team. All right, lost to Liverpool yesterday at the time we recorded this. But they're the two that have got them to the top of the table. Like, those two are the ones that are dragging this team forward.
And to be fair to Kane as well, he's proved it whilst playing for England. He's certainly a leader in that dressing room. I don't think he's, maybe the most vocal, but I quite like the fact that he's probably more of a set the example type of leader, which I really don't think should go understated, because for me, the captain should always be setting the tone. And even though he isn't captain of Spurs, obviously he does that. And yeah, I completely agree with everything you just said in terms of your summary of Harry Kane. I think right now, in terms of an out-and-out striker, I would say that only Lewandowski is better than him. And even then, I would say that with the role that Harry Kane has taken on, especially this season, they're almost playing striker, even though he's still an out-and-out striker, they're almost playing it differently. Harry Kane almost doubles as a number 10, and his range of passing, his ability to find a ball, it's just outrageous for a striker. It's unbelievable. He's out passing most, if not all, of the midfielders in the league right now, and he's not even a midfielder.
I mean, he's got 10 assists in 12 games, or 13 games. I mean, that's an insane statistic.
If he carries on at this rate, he's going to break that assist record, and he's a striker, fundamentally a goal scorer. That's unbelievable.
I saw a stat, the quickest anyone's got to 10 goals and 10 assists is like 20 games or something, and he's done it in, he's 9 and 10 after 13. So he needs one more goal, and he's broken it in like five less games.
That's incredible.
So it just shows the levels, particularly this season. And again, this is what I'm saying. It was hard doing a whole of 2020, and obviously he had a great end to 19 as well, but end to the last season. But it was really the start of this season, which I think has got him this part in my list.
Certainly, as I said, I think in terms of goals, and the assists as well, it's just been he's been phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And I do think, as I said, even though I would still call Lewandowski the out and out best striker in the world at the right now, I feel like you can make that argument for Kane, but for different reasons. They almost give you two different things, which is, really, it's almost harsh to compare the both of them because they're effectively doing two different roles for their team, even though predominantly they're still knocking goals in as well, which is incredible.
Yeah, no, it's a great shout.
All right, then, moving on to your other Europa League spot then, number 5, Matt. Who are you going with at your number 5?
So my number 5 has done really well this year, and I'm going to hold my hands up. I didn't really know he existed before 2020, and it's Bruno Fernandes.
Great shout.
I think he deserves to be in that spot for turning up at a struggling Manchester United and turning them into a top 4 side.
Let me pose a question to both of you now. If Bruno Fernandes was not in that side in January, and then also if he was not in that side from the start of this season, where did Man United finish last season, and where would Manchester United currently be without Bruno Fernandes?
Relegation, and I reckon they'd be about 3rd in the Championship.
What about you, Simon?
He loves digging United, doesn't he, this one?
I know so many United fans, it does my head in. And I live in fucking London.
Well, yeah, there's more United fans in London than anywhere else in the world.
Yeah. I will agree with you there, though, Matt. And the thing is, I could live with it when United were still playing well because you go, they are one of the best teams, if not the best team in the world. But they're not even good anymore, and they're still getting refereeing decisions. They're still getting a penalty every game, and they've been shit for 7 years. Shit by Man United standards, obviously, for 7 years. I'm getting tired of it now. So, yeah, anytime someone shits on Man United, it's fine.
To answer your question realistically, probably 8th.
I agree. I would, funny enough, Midtable Up Podcast, I think Man United would be around bang on mid-table without Bruno Fernandes, really.
Yeah, he's a very, very talented footballer. I mean, you say you hadn't really heard... I'd heard of him, but I'll be honest, I didn't know how good he was. I mean, he played at Sporting, Portuguese league. It's always hard to kind of look at it and go... Yeah. Ridiculously good. I mean, you have to count... It's still Portugal. But he's taken to the Premier League like a duck to water. He dictates that midfield. And you can see his influence because he's kind of ousted. I mean, they've got kind of Donny van der Beek, they've got Paul Pogba, they've got these other midfield players. And he's the main guy, he's the one who doesn't get dropped. And everyone else plays around Bruno Fernandes. And I think that shows his quality.
Yeah, you've got to think, at the time of this recording, he's been here less than a year, but he's won the Player of the Month 3 times, I believe, which... That's outrageous, really, when you think about it.
Didn't he win it the first 2 months?
I think he did, and then I think he's won it in November as well. That, he has been incredible, and I will say this, because obviously, I slagged off Man United a minute ago for the amount of penalties they get, which I do stand by.
I think we all stand by that, mate. That's been true for 20 years. Let's not pretend that's new.
Don't even get me started on the VAR decision they got against us. Jesus Christ, that was ridiculous.
Call your jets, son. Call your jets.
But I will say this, though. Even if you take the penalties out of it, Bruno Fernandes has still by far been the best Manchester United player, and he's still had such an incredible impact. Again, as you said, like a duck to water. I really can't think of too many foreign imports, especially from, as you said, the Portuguese league, that have really kicked on like this, you know, in the or at least in the manner that he has.
I can think of one.
Go for it, mate.
Ronaldo.
I mean, even then though, I don't think he started his Manchester United career as impressively as Bruno has.
No. Yeah,
Different stages of their career, though. Like, you have to factor that in. He was like 20.
Right.
Fernandes is like 20.
And I don't see Bruno Fernandes doing what Ronaldo did at Real Madrid anytime soon either. As great a player as much as I think he probably would improve that team, actually.
But I think that's a great shout. I mean, I hadn't even really thought about it, but if you take his 2020 in isolation, it's been ridiculous.
It's not even, for me, one of the things I love so much about a player is when they have impact in the game. You know, lots of players have very, very lovely tricks, but they don't really produce anything. He can do all these lovely, nice tricks, but he's there. He's at every challenge. He's trying to win every ball. And he gets stuck in.
And I think it was proof when... I remember him having a go at Harry Maguire when they conceded a goal. I can't remember what game it was. It was a few weeks ago now. But that, again, shows his mentality. It's like, no, I'm not here. I'm here to win. Like, I've got to give that mentality of a winner. And that's, I think, something United need, is someone who's going to be like, we are Man United. We can't accept mediocrity. That's not what this club is about. And I think that's a real step change that he's given them as well.
I completely agree. Yeah, 100%. You know, I think that he is a true Manchester United player in the sense of a mentality, and he's probably one of the few players in the current team right now that would probably stand any chance of getting in the team when, you know, Ferguson was still there. That I think that's how much of a player he's been. And if we were making this list purely based on Premier League players, I feel like we'd struggle. We'd probably wouldn't be able to make this list without putting Bruno Fernandes in like the top 3, I imagine, or maybe top 4, depend. But yeah, certainly no lower than 5th for sure. Like he's been outrageous for them. So yeah, I think that's a really decent shout, to be honest with you. That's half time. Thank you so much for listening to part 1 of this Midtable and Up podcast episode. Part 2 will be available to listen to very soon. If you enjoy our content, please follow us on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Be sure to download us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Acast and SoundCloud. Thank you very much, and we'll see you in parts 2.